Insane Oklahoma facts you probably didn't know. If you're ready to move past the mundane state facts of Oklahoma history, then continue on to find insane things that have happened in the Sooner State that you won't find in most history books. Watch till the end when, to lighten the mood, we take you on a border-to-border ride on scenic Route 66. 1. In October 2005, an Oklahoma City man was sentenced to 30 years in prison for murder and robbery. He asked to increase the sentence to 33 years so that it would match Larry Bird's jersey number, and the judge granted his request. 2. Deer were once so rare that a donated fawn was the first animal at the Oklahoma City Zoo. 3. The longest jail term in the U.S. for a single person on multiple counts was for Oklahoma child rapist Charles Scott Robinson in 1994. He was sentenced to a total of 30,000 years, 5,000 years for each of the 6 counts against him. 4. The Oklahoma City bombing in 1995, the Boston Marathon in 2013, the Virginia Tech shootings in 2007, the Columbine shootings in 1999, and the Branch Davidian siege in 1993 all happened the third week in April. 5. Investigators found an extra leg in the aftermath of the Oklahoma City bombing. A match was never found. 6. During 1964, the United States FAA bombarded Oklahoma City with sonic booms from 8 supersonic flights per day, 7 days per week for 6 months. There were more than 15,000 complaints. Oklahoma City was chosen as the region's population was perceived to be relatively tolerant of such an experiment. 7. Until 1942, Oklahoma would surgically sterilize criminals under the belief that bad behavior was hereditary. 8. After the deadly I-40 bridge collapse in Oklahoma, a man impersonated an army captain and took control of the disaster scene. A civilian by the name of James Clark impersonated an army captain and took control of the disaster scene for 2 days, including directing FBI agents and coordinating the rescue efforts, before fleeing the scene. Clark, a 2-time felon, was later apprehended in Canada. Please subscribe to US City Facts, click the like button and share with your friends. 9. The Greenwood District was the wealthiest black community in the United States. Until it was burned to the ground in one of the single worst incidents of racial violence in American history, known as the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921. The number of dead is estimated between 150 and 300. If those numbers could be confirmed, it would make the Tulsa Race Massacre the deadliest domestic attack in American history. During the Race Massacre, there were many reports of planes dropping bombs or turpentine. If this is true, it would be the first and only time airplanes were used by officials to terrorize citizens. Survivors included 10,000 now homeless African Americans. 6,000 of them were placed into camps and then released weeks later. 10. One of the most toxic cities in America is located in Pitcher, Oklahoma. The town sits in the middle of a toxic waste dump, and many of the residents were unaware that they had unsafe levels of lead in their blood. 11. In 1963, the state of Oklahoma banned tattoos and body modification procedures. Oklahoma held strong to its law, continuing the ban well into the 21st century. Oklahoma was the last state to legalize tattooing in 2006. 12. In 1997, a woman in Oklahoma became the only known person to have been struck by man-made space debris. Lottie Williams was uninjured when she was hit in the shoulder by a piece of blackened, woven metallic material confirmed as part of the propellant tank of a Delta II rocket that launched a U.S. Air Force satellite the year before. 13. Oklahoma has unusual beer laws. Grocery and convenience stores can sell only low-point beer or near beer, that's beer between 0.5% and 3.2% alcohol by weight. But they can't sell it between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. Retailers must sell at room temperature all beverages over 3.2% alcohol by weight. That includes beer, wine, and spirits. It's illegal to sell alcohol for consumption off premises on certain days. These include Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. The sale of alcohol is legal on Election Day. Retailers may sell alcohol on Sundays if voters in a county approved. 14. In 2000, an Oklahoma schoolgirl was suspended for casting a spell on her teacher, which allegedly made them ill and caused the teacher to be hospitalized. 15. While playing football in college, Mickey Mantle was kicked in the left ankle and it became infected with osteomyelitis, a crippling disease that was incurable just a few years earlier. A midnight drive to Tulsa, Oklahoma enabled him to be treated with penicillin, saving his leg from amputation. 16. Oklahoma had the largest population of socialists of any state in the period before World War I. 17. According to a couple of sources, the state of Oklahoma views the act of taking a bite out of another's hamburger as a criminal offense. 18. Driving in Oklahoma is not cheap. Oklahoma has 10 turnpikes with a total of 606 miles across the state. It has 4,342 miles on the national highway system, according to federal data. That means that 14% of Oklahoma's highways are toll roads. Only one state has a higher percentage, New Hampshire, at 16.2%. 19. Oklahoma State University's mascot, Pistol Pete, is based on a real U.S. Marshal, Frank Eaton. After 6 Confederate soldiers murdered his father, he killed 5 out of 6 in shootouts. 20. In 1943 during World War II, an American B-17 bomber mistook Boise City, Oklahoma for its target practice bombing range, and dropped bombs on the city. Miraculously, nobody was hurt or killed. It was the only continental U.S. city bombed during World War II. Please subscribe to U.S. City Facts and click the like button. 21. Trooper Charles Hanger, who arrested Oklahoma City bombing suspect Timothy McVeigh, remembers McVeigh fidgeting under the seat of his squad car after being handcuffed and placed in the front passenger seat. Hanger searches the seat and finds a business card shoved underneath. The card belonged to a military supply store in Wisconsin. On the back are notes written by McVeigh, TNT at $5 a stick. Need more? Call after May 1st. Federal investigators used the card to conclude that McVeigh intended to execute more bombings. 22. Outlaw Jesse James possibly faked his death and lived in Lawton for many years under the alias Frank Dalton. 23. The story behind this Oklahoma State Penitentiary riot is truly disturbing. The Oklahoma State Penitentiary, OSP, opened in 1908 with only 50 inmates in a makeshift facility on over 1,500 acres in McAlester, Oklahoma. A permanent facility was built in 1911 and began housing inmates in large numbers. The facility could house 1,100 inmates, and that number easily was surpassed by 1920. Fast forward to 1973, to an overcrowded OSP that was overfilled with 2,200 inmates. The prison was overcrowded and in desperate need of reform. The prisoners were very discontent with the conditions and, along with other reasons, grew weary of any hope for change. What happened next was forewarned by government officials, by advocacy groups, due to the dire situation at the prison. On July 27, 1973, one of the worst prison riots in U.S. history broke out in McAlester. The prison erupted in violence and inmates stabbed 2 prison workers before taking 21 other prison guards hostage. 3 hours after the riot broke out, the prisoners had gained control of the hospital, and nearly 30 minutes later, the prison was on fire. The prisoners eventually released the hostages but kept control of the prison until August 4th. The riot caused more than $25 million in damages to over 20 buildings. Along with the damage the facility incurred, 3 inmates lost their lives and 21 inmates and guards were injured. 24. These rare stories show Oklahoma's oil history like never before. Indian Territory was not known for much more than Native Americans, cows, and prairie land before it struck oil in the late 1800s. Word quickly spread around the nation and oil companies flocked to the land that would become Oklahoma in 1907. In 1901, a huge gusher was discovered near Tulsa, making it the oil capital of the world. The Sooner State quickly became famous worldwide for its black gold and was the top U.S. oil producer, along with California, until 1930. The oil industry changed Oklahoma by creating jobs and wealth for many, but it didn't come without a price. Many lives were lost from fires, accidents, and a host of other problems that came from the industry. 25. The ecosystem during the Dust Bowl was disrupted so badly that it unleashed plagues of jackrabbits and grasshoppers. Jackrabbits and grasshoppers moved on the plains and destroyed whatever crops could grow. Huge clouds of grasshoppers, as large as 23,000 insects per acre according to some estimates, swept over farms and consumed everything in their paths. The National Guard was summoned to crush grasshoppers with tractors and burn infested fields, while the Civilian Conservation Corps sprayed an insecticide of arsenic, molasses, and bran. 26. During the dust storms, so much static electricity built up between the ground and airborne dust, that blue flames leapt from barbed wire fences, and greeters shaking hands could generate a spark so powerful it could knock them to the ground. Since static electricity could short out engines and car radios, motorists driving through dust storms dragged chains from the back of their automobiles to ground their cars. 27. The worst mining catastrophe in Oklahoma Territory history happened in Krebs, Oklahoma on January 7, 1892. The mines were known for poor conditions and inexperienced workers. The explosion was a result of one of those inexperienced workers accidentally setting off a stash of explosives. The massive mine explosion left nearly 100 dead, and another 150 seriously injured. Almost every household in Krebs was affected. It wasn't until 2002 that the victims of the mining accident were honored with a memorial at the site of the old mine. Please subscribe to US City Facts and click the like button. 28. Very few Okies were actually from Oklahoma when the term was coined. When families migrated to California during the 1930s, they were all called Okies. Okie was a blanket term used to describe all agricultural migrants, no matter their home states. Only 1/5 of all Okies were from Oklahoma. The migrants in California were not welcomed with open arms. They were greeted with hostility and signs such as one in a California diner that read, "Okies and dogs not allowed inside." 29. Oklahoma City was supposed to be built where Lawton is, but due to a major mistake by a surveyor, OKC was placed on the map almost 100 miles north of where it was planned to go. It was referred to as Redmanton before it was called Oklahoma City. That was officially changed in 1908, shortly after the state capital was awarded to Oklahoma City. Any input is encouraged in the comment section on this topic, as this was difficult to verify. 30. There were originally 6 civilized tribes, not 5. The 6th missing tribe was the Chippewa tribe, who died early on from famine. Those that survived joined forces with the Choctaw tribe. Many have debunked this, however it is worth mentioning. Comments are encouraged if you have credible knowledge. 31. The first Boy Scout troop in the U.S. started in Oklahoma in 1909. Reverend John F. Mitchell organized the first troop in Pawhuska in 1909. Mitchell was on assignment from the Church of England to St. Thomas Episcopal Church. The British minister was an associate of Lord Robert Baden-Powell, who founded the Boy Scouts of England. It started with 19 boys between the ages of 11 and 17. 32. Vinita was the first town in Oklahoma to get electricity. It's also the oldest incorporated town in the state. 33. The coldest recorded temperature in the history of Oklahoma, -31 degrees Fahrenheit, was in Nowata on February 10, 2011. The new record in 2011 broke the previous record of -27 degrees Fahrenheit in Vinita on February 13, 1905, Watts on January 18, 1930, and Guthrie on January 4, 1947. 34. Women in Oklahoma voted 1 year before the 19th Amendment gave women voters across the country the right to vote. Oklahoma was among the first states to allow women the right to vote. It came to a heated debate in Oklahoma before the 19th Amendment. The issue was eventually agreed to go before a vote of the people on November 5, 1918. 35. The first oil in Oklahoma was discovered in July 1850, in the old Cherokee Nation near Salina in Mayes County. The oil was discovered in a well that had been drilled for salt. In 1907, before Oklahoma became a state, Oklahoma produced the most oil of any state or territory in the United States. 36. The breathtaking mansion in Oklahoma you must visit. If you enjoy visiting historic places in Oklahoma, head to Ponca City to the Marlin Mansion, an architectural masterpiece and museum open to the public. This Mediterranean-style mansion tells the story of the oil tycoon E.W. Marlin, who once controlled 1/10 of the world's oil reserves. Situated on 30 acres on a hill in Ponca City is the Marlin Mansion, a 43,561 square foot masterpiece that was built in the 1920s. It's known as the Palace on the Prairie and was once one of the largest residences in the southwestern United States. The grounds of the mansion are comprised of beautiful land filled with lakes, gardens, and other buildings. Originally, the mansion sat on 2,500 acres, but over the years the land was sold off, and eventually, the ownership of the mansion was transferred to the city. The home was built by E.W. Marlin for $5.5 million, including all the furnishings. The home took 3 years to build and was completed in 1928. Inspired by a home in Florence, Italy, this Ponca City masterpiece boasts 3 floors of extravagant architecture. There is 55 rooms total, including 10 bedrooms and 12 bathrooms. The home was built as a showcase for fine art. Also located on the grounds is Marlin's Grand Home, a mansion-style home that was built in 1916. The home boasts 16,500 acres and today showcases many different exhibits about the Marlin family, Oklahoma history, and more. Please subscribe to US City Facts. 37. The massive Amish Cheese House in Oklahoma that takes nearly all day to explore. The Amish Cheese House is a local shopping and dining gem in the small town of Choteau. Sure, they have over 40 different kinds of cheeses, but you'll find so much more than cheese here. The store features over 7,000 square feet of homemade jelly, noodles, candy, fudge, meats, cheeses, and more. Plus, they have a cafe that serves sandwiches made from homemade bread and cheeses from the Amish community. The Amish Cheese House opened in 2000 and moved to the Red Barn location in 2006. They are locally owned and operated and feature a shop, deli, and cafe. This store is a local staple in the community. They have a stellar reputation for serving quality foods and items. One could spend hours and hours browsing these aisles and still not see everything. 38. If you're looking for an outdoor adventure, then Broken Bow is where you need to be. This small town is one of the most magical places in Oklahoma. This town is located in the southeastern portion of the state in the Ouachita Mountains. 39. Oklahoma is home to the longest drivable stretch of Route 66 in the country, and along the route are museums, restaurants, charming towns, beautiful scenery, and many points of interest. The Mother Road runs 426 miles through the Sooner State, and if you've never taken the whole drive or a portion of it, you've been missing out. Route 66 continues from the Texas border, and enters Oklahoma on the west side of the state, meandering to the Kansas border on the east side of Oklahoma. Route 66 runs through Oklahoma City and through the town of Arcadia, where you can view the world's largest pop bottle and the historic Arcadia Round Barn. The scenery along this route is so peaceful and beautiful. Heading west, you'll travel through Tulsa, and the drive will be filled with trees, lots of points of interest, and some great dining spots. Continuing on, you'll pass through the town of Catoosa and past the famous Blue Whale. You can get out and take pictures and enjoy this iconic spot. Next, Chelsea, Oklahoma is a beautiful place to stop and enjoy the quiet life along the Route 66 highway. In Chelsea, you will find historic buildings, inspiring bridges that connected communities, and unique generational houses of the historically influential townsfolk right off Route 66. Further northeast, you'll come to Miami, Oklahoma. In Miami, you'll see the historic Coleman Theater. The theater was built in the 1920s and is an opulent theater that still hosts concerts and silent films. Route 66 exits Oklahoma on the Kansas border, and there are many beautiful places in this portion of the state. It's a beautiful drive to take year-round, but if you're lucky enough to travel it in the fall, the drive is majestic. If you have time on your drive, we highly recommend you stop and enjoy some of the attractions along the route. What facts did you find the most interesting? Hopefully, you learned something new about the history of the Sooner State. If so, click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share U.S. city facts with your friends and family. Thanks for watching.